Hello everyone, I'm Dapher, David Fernando, and this is one more edition of Answer My Questions. Welcome to Answer My Questions. My guest for today's edition is Francisco Cachivalela. Yes?
Cachivalela.
Cachivalela, yes.
That's it.
I got it wrong.
Oh,
Francisco Cachivalela is my guest, and he is an English teacher and also not a translator. A translator?
Freelancer translator.
Yes, he is an English teacher and a translator. He has got a degree in English language. I was about to say English language teaching methodology, but actually it's English language literature from Agostinho Neto University. Now, Faculty of Humanities, yes?
Sure.
Faculty of Humanities. Mm-hmm. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's it. Okay, so if this is, let me just check the sound, how it is. Can you check if we are on?
I think it's not.
From your Facebook.
No.
Can you check that? Aren't we out? Aren't we on?
No. Yeah.
So we are on. Okay. Good. Could you tell us how the sound is? I can. Okay, good.
That's fine.
All right. If this is your first time viewing us, this is Answer My Questions, and we've been live streaming every Sunday on this Facebook page. We often have different viewers, different guests who come and answer questions on different areas of study. And today my guest will be answering questions on pronunciation and also teaching and so on. Okay, Francisco, can you make yourself known?
Well, thank you very much for this great opportunity you've given to me to be here, so as to share anything regarding to language and what other fields of human knowledge. So my name is Francisco, as Mr. Dapher Fernando has just said. Francisco Cachivalela, right? And I'm also known as Pete Roach.
Yes.
This is the name many other people around the faculty know. Well, I think that's all. That's it. That's because talking about ourselves, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I just like when people ask me questions about me, because talking about myself alone, it's a little bit hard or difficult for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm already on. Dekila Chair, viewing us from which province? Hi, Dekila. I hope to see you sometime soon. Maybe in April we'll be together. All right, Francisco. Mm-hmm. Why literature?
Okay. This
English
question,
literature.
Yeah. Well, actually, this intention of doing English language and literature came since the very beginning of my life. I think when I was attending my high school, I already had this intention to follow English at faculty. Mm-hmm. So when I was done with my my high school, I decided to study, either to go to ISHED or to Agostinho University. But I thought that going to ISHED would be too limited for me, because I wanted to explore the other fields of English or the other fields of linguistics. And then if I attended the ISHED, it would be a little bit limited for me.
Okay.
Then I decided to move to Agostinho University, where I followed English language and literature. So I like this one because it offers you a wide range of possibilities, when it comes to language. And that's why I decided to do English language and literature. But I'm not too focused on literature.
Okay.
Yes, I like more linguistics than literature. To literature, because it is the field that I feel more comfortable dealing with. Yeah.
Okay. And when it's okay, Daniel. It's okay. When did you decide to get involved into literature? Into linguistics.
So I think it was in 2016 when the intention of attending English language literature grew inside me. Yeah, and I embarked in this field in 2018 when I tested I went to Agostinho University and sat for the exam and succeeded. So I started having classes there, yeah, English language and literature. So it was in 2018, that was the main year that I started the field. Mm-hmm. But the intention of attending this university began very soon, in 2016.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Now, my question was why. I would like to know when you got interested in linguistics, because you said that you are more into literature. Into linguistics. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide to dive? To read more.
It was actually in 2018. Yeah, because in 2018 we had a subject with a subject called Introduction to Linguistics.
Yes.
Right, Introduction to Linguistics. So throughout the time, or throughout the year of 2018, I started to grow. The intention to dive more in the linguistic field was too intensive, and this was just because of the teacher we had, or the professor we had. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so his English, or the way he taught us the content regarding to linguistics was so clear, and I actually decided to to give time, devote myself to linguistics, because I could understand that dealing with the linguistics, yes, you will have the opportunity to understand more about the language, how the language functions, and so on and so forth. So I like to talk about language. I like to use the language to communicate by using the language. So that's why I decided to follow linguistics, yes, rather than literature. Linguistics is something amazing,
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you tell us how amazing it is?
So then, since it deals with the language, and we all know that language is a very important item through which human beings interact, right? And then I think this is the interesting part of linguistics, because it actually studies the language, which is the tool that human beings use in order to share experience, to share thoughts, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is the most important part of linguistics that I actually love a lot, because it deals with the language. It deals with how to communicate, how to use the language, and share experience, share thoughts, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah. There are lots of branches of linguistics where phonetics and phonology are one of them. Which of linguistics branches are you more involved in or into?
Okay. Well, actually, I like to deal with morphology. Mm-hmm. Morphology is one of them. Syntax as well. Phonetics and phonology, not that much. Yeah, but in my first year of schooling, I was gaining that interest in studying phonetics and phonology. Yeah, because I could realize that when we deal with phonetics and phonology, we are bound to know how to express ourselves better and put forward our ideas so people can understand it without any problem. So I started dealing with phonetics and phonology in my first year, and I had that interest in attending it or in dealing with this. But as time went by, I was declined to what we call morphology, because it deals with the formation of words and so on and so forth, and syntax. Yeah, so actually I have more interest in dealing, with morphology and syntax rather than other fields of linguistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were named by lecturer Apolinario Peter Roach. How did you feel when he named you Peter Roach?
Well, so I think the feeling was, the sensation was good. Because being called Peter Roach is not easy, because we know that Peter Roach is an icon when talking about phonetics and phonology, or the fields of phonetics and phonology. So being called like this, it means that you have something, okay, something interesting when it comes to phonetics and phonology. Well, actually, I felt, very well by being called Peter Roach. Yeah.
Okay. Teaching. How long have you been working as a teacher?
Well, I've been working as a teacher since 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, since 2016, although it was a little bit timid, the action or the activity was a little bit timid.
Okay.
Yeah, but I started in 2015. Yeah, I think it was in my English explanation at home. I studied at home. At that time, I was attending English language at Profit 2 in Kazanga. Yeah, so as a way to improve my skills, my abilities, I decided to open my English school. Yeah, that time I was attending, I think I was elementary or intermediate. So to practice my English, I decided to open my English school. And then from that time on, well, I think it's been 10 or 15 years, in this field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Have you been to a teacher training school?
No, because my high school was done in a Catholic school.
Okay.
Yeah, in a Catholic school. That time I did human science.
Okay.
I actually wanted to go to teacher training school, but because of the possibilities, my parents didn't have any other, any condition to afford my studies there. So I decided to go to a school where would allow me to go on foot. Yeah, so that school is actually so-called Papa João 23, which is now Stefan Sandor.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I attended my high school. But the intention was actually to go to teacher training school.
Is it in Kazanga?
No, it's in Viana. It's in Viana on the way to Aterro Sanitário.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mulevo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mulevo.
Okay, that's good. When did we first meet? Was it at the faculty or at
no, at faculty.
Oh, okay.
At faculty.
Okay,
sure.
That's good. I thought we met at what's that? Zedu Mediateca.
No, it was at faculty.
But you were also one of the attendees of the teacher training promoted by Professor, yes? By Master Beto.
No.
Did you attend that training?
No, I didn't.
No?
I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did it. So you've never done any
no,
teacher training
I've done one, with teacher Teofilo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with teacher Teofilo, I think at that time.
2021.
Yeah, in league with Mr. Bengala.
Yes.
They decided to open their project shaping
your English.
Your English, of course. Then I attended it. I took advantage of that project so as to go through this teacher training course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since you didn't do, you haven't been to a teacher training course or a teacher training school, what have you been doing so as to improve your teaching skills?
Okay, so actually I've been attending some webinars. I've been attending webinars in the US Embassy. I've recently attended two series of a teacher training. It's actually a webinar but devoted to teacher training or to teacher development. Okay, CPD, that's CPD.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been attending two series, and this is what I've been doing. Practice a lot, okay, and attending webinars,
okay,
in the US Embassy.
How important are those webinars?
Well, actually, the webinars are so much important because they allow us to reflect more, on something that we already know and many other things that we don't know.
Okay.
So it comes it's like a refresh, right? Yes, it helps you to remember, all those things you know and things. You come to learn new things you don't know. So actually, the webinars are very important for someone who wants to improve, someone who wants to keep moving forward in terms of teaching, so should attend webinars, but devoted to teacher training or to the techniques or methodologies of English language.
Okay. Could you tell us again who should attend those webinars?
Well, anyone who is interested in becoming a good English teacher,
okay.
right? Anybody who understands English, who speaks English, and who wants to be a good English teacher, so should attend webinars devoted to, teacher training.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. I can see Daniel. Do you have any question?
Not for a while.
No.
No.
Okay. So Francisco Cachivalela is an English teacher, and he has a degree in English language teaching, English literature. So if you have any questions on teaching or linguistics? No, morphology and syntax, yes?
Yeah,
Are you free to answer questions?
Yeah, but if it's more devoted to language, okay, the use of language, the importance of pronunciation and so on and so forth, yeah, that's better.
Okay, that's good. So, how important is pronunciation for you?
All right. So, as the name indicates, pronunciation, right?
Are you there, Daniel?
First of all we have to know is that when we talk about pronunciation, it is, an important item when dealing with language, right? Because there's no way for you to convey a great message or to make people understand what you're trying to convey if your pronunciation is not correct. I mean, when we produce or when we make the right pronunciation of words, so actually we convey the message accurately. And when we do not make the correct pronunciation of words, we simply mislead, okay, the communication. We so how should we say? The correct pronunciation of words leads to good understanding of the language or of the message.
Yes.
And the wrong pronunciation of words would simply lead to misunderstanding. So then, studying pronunciation would allow us to be clear when trying to convey our message. So pronunciation is it's not important. It is very important. Okay. Because when we deal with the language, we needed to know how to pronounce words. Because pronunciation is actually the way words are made to sound, right? If we do not pronounce the words clearly, people will have difficulties to understand what we're trying to convey. Okay. So then pronunciation is very important. Learning pronunciation is a plus for who wants to convey his message clearly. Yeah.
Okay. What are the career opportunities for someone? This is a question coming from Dikila Jer, from viewing us from Wish. And I can also see Mr. Candido, one of the number one viewers, is on. I can see Perclorato Falex is also on. Mohammed Ashraf is also on. And I can see Mario. Mario is viewing us from Cape Town, South Africa. Now, question coming from the Killer Chair. What are the career opportunities for someone with a degree in linguistics or with a degree in English language literature?
So type of career?
Yeah, what are the career opportunities for someone with a degree in English literature?
All right. So actually, someone who graduates in English language and literature has a lot of opportunities, okay, for work, because we simply needed to explore this field. The problem is that many people graduating in English language and literature, they simply focus themselves on teaching.
Okay.
Many of them go to university, and at the end of all, they end up being a teacher. So actually, this is the situation we are all living here in our country. But someone who graduates in English language and literature has a wide range of opportunities. One thing is we can become a reviser, for instance. Okay. Someone who attends, who is graduating.
A reviser of what?
Oh, proofreader. Can be a proofreader, for instance. Can be translator as well, right? Translator and interpreter. You can select this, and many other things. This one can also run lectures.
Okay.
Run lectures in different fields of linguistics, for instance, because we have many English speakers who simply speak English, but they do not know the principal fields of linguistics, and they do not, still don't understand how they work. And then this is actually our work as as people graduated in English language and literature. We should be helping these guys or these students, to know how what are the opportunities that someone should have in attending English language and literature. So we have many, being reviser, being translator, interpreter, running lectures on different fields of linguistics. Yes, and many other things, because being or attending English language and literature gives you, an opportunity to view things out of the box, okay, or to think out of the box. You can be a teacher, but being a teacher, you will not just simply be a teacher. You will be teacher plus something.
Okay.
Yes, you're going to be a teacher plus something. You will be a teacher. You are going to know how to address your lessons. You're going to understand the different factors the students can face while you address your lesson to students. Because a linguist also is a person who understands the difficulties the students may have in a classroom. As a linguist, we actually can do so. So a teacher graduated in English language and literature has all these opportunities, for opportunities for job or for work. But the problem, Mr. Dapher, is actually the case that many people, they do not want to explore this field. They just want to get stuck. Okay, they just want to get stuck in what we call teaching. This is the problem. So we can do wide range of things. Some of them I have just said here, I have just mentioned. And then all we need to do is just to explore and explore more. Unfortunately, the problem is, one of the problems is that our country do not offer this gap for us to go through, or for us to explore many other parts of, many other kinds of opportunity. But then if you try, if we were in a country where, these gaps, or we were given opportunity to explore, our knowledge, or to do what we actually know how to do, what we actually know, so we should be doing a lot of things. So, yeah,
okay.
This is like this.
One of the, there are lots of, job opportunities, some of which you've mentioned them.
Sure.
Knowing that Agostinho Neto University, let's say Faculty of Humanities, does not train teachers, why do lots of people end up being teachers?
So I think that's because of the country situation, right?
Knowing that the Luanda Higher Institute, or Luanda Education Higher Institute is there. If by the end of the year, because when you studied Faculty of Humanities, by the end of the year you will not be a teacher, because you didn't have any teacher training, or you didn't have like English language teaching methodology subject.
That's it.
Knowing that at the end of the 4 years, some of our colleagues or some students will end up being teachers, why don't they go to ESED and do English language teaching methodology?
Well, I think some people do not want to be limited. Okay. Right? They decided to go to Agostinho University and they follow literature. But at the end of the 4 years, they decided to start attending some courses on ELT,
Okay.
for example,
Yeah.
right? I also did the same. I wanted to go to SHED, but since the moment that I realized that it would be so limited for me, then I went to an Agostinho University. Now that I'm done with this course, I'm trying to upgrade myself in terms of courses regarding, which deals with ELT, like teacher training, right? So this is what I'm doing. But then, this is what I have just told you, that the problem is that many people actually, they didn't want to be a teacher. They didn't want to be a teacher. They go to Agostinho University and do English language and literature to be, a linguist, or, a literator or something like. But then the problem is that the country where we are did not provide us with the gaps or with opportunities to work in our field. You see, because here you can become, you can graduate in English language and literature, but you become a teacher because there is no field, there is no job for someone who attended English language and literature.
Okay.
You see, then everybody goes to
teaching field.
To teaching field. This is the problem.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I can see some comments coming from Osmani. Were you classmate? Osmani Monteiro.
Osmani. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The one from Rocha Pinto.
Yes, it says, my dear friend and mate, Osmani Lembe Monteiro. And I can also see Kaswingi Monteiro viewing us from Kwanzaa Sul.
Okay,
and I also saw a comment coming from one of your friends, Dave.
Okay.
Dave, is Dave your friend?
Dave?
Classmate?
Let's see. It's not
Dave.
Dave.
Yes,
Dave.
I saw his. Daniel, can you find this?
There's so dead, right?
Yes.
Delcio.
Yeah, Delcio.
Delcio. Yes. He actually finished 1 year before me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. What generation does he belong to?
2000. Me?
No.
Okay.
Delcio.
2017, I think.
Does he belong to?
No, 2000. From 2000.
Vembas.
Yeah, Vembas generation. That's it.
Okay, that's good. Kaswinge, do you still have honey? Okay. So, what are Mr. Candido's questions? Mr. Candido's question and also Delcio.
Delcio, okay.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, Delcio's question is, great to see friends of mine on the show. Hugs, bro. I really love your accent. Questions between accent and pronunciation, which one is more important?
Between accent and pronunciation.
Yes.
So actually, I would just say that both are important, but pronunciation is much more important.
Okay.
I should say.
Could you elaborate more on that?
That's it. So because when we talk about accent is simply the way people talk, or the way people speak. For example, everyone, when speaking something or when speaking a language, they have their own way to speak the language.
Yeah.
For example, I have my way to speak the language. I mean, when I speak English, I have my own way of speaking English. Mr. Dapher has his own way of speaking English. And many other people have their way of speaking English.
Remember, when Francisco is saying his own way, he's talking about accent.
Yeah, sure.
He's not saying that I make up my English and he's talking about accent.
Of course. We all have different ways of speaking, a language. Even in Portuguese, people from, for example, people from Luanda, they have a specific way of speaking Portuguese.
Yes.
When you go to Benguela, you find people speaking Portuguese in a different way. Okay, Wambo, the same thing. Balange, the same thing. But all of them are speaking the same language. They understand each other, right? But different ways of speaking the language.
Okay.
This is what we call accent.
Okay.
Right? And then, on the other hand, the pronunciation is, as I said, is the most important one because it deals with how you talk, how you pronounce the words. You see, because pronunciation is actually, how words are pronounced.
Okay.
Right? And as I said earlier, when we have, a bad or wrong pronunciation of, when we do bad pronunciation of words, so actually we mislead the communication. We do not convey the message clearly. People can even wonder what we we were trying to say, what we are trying to say, because it's not clear. For example, when someone says because instead of because, okay, if I say because, you may even be there trying to rack your brain in order to figure out what I'm trying to say, because I said because instead of because. Right, so wrong pronunciation leads to misunderstanding. Okay. So then pronunciation is very important. It's much more important than accent, because accent, you can speak differently, okay, or different from me, but I can understand you without any problem. I can understand someone from which province, okay, when talking Portuguese. I can understand someone, from Bengala province when talking Portuguese. We can understand each other, although we speak differently. But if he mispronounces the word, I'm surely going to have problems or difficulties to understand them.
Okay.
So then pronunciation is the most important one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I can see that there are, Daniel, could you check, there are 18 people viewing us. Actually, there were 19 now, but there were 20 people viewing us. Pronunciation matters. Yes, it really matters. All the best, commented Uncle Ben, Zola Maziko Menga, who has been doing a great job with his English living community. Yes, and he has been running sessions on pronunciation where he has been helping not only his friends, but let's say a certain community, friends, neighbors, and some other people coming to join him because they also want to improve their English. So, all the best. Yes, that was also his comment, all the best. So I would also say all the best, Zolamenga, for what you've been doing. Good. Are there any other questions?
Yes, there is a question from
Over to
Mr.
you.
Candidate, which is the following. Recently, a student from ISED who is attending language and literature told me his teachers taught him Brazilian and Angolan Portuguese are two different dialects. Do you also consider Portuguese as a dialect?
Portuguese as a dialect.
What did he say?
He said, recently a student from ISED was attending language and literature told him, his teachers taught him that Brazilian and Angolan Portuguese are two different dialects. Do you also consider Portuguese as a dialect?
All right. So, well, first we would say that
This is social linguistics, yes?
Yeah. So, dialect is when we talk about, okay, it's actually a language which derived, okay, from one language, for instance. If we say that Brazilian and Angolan Portuguese are different dialects, I can say that yes, they are different dialects because they come from only one, okay? But then what makes a dialect actually is the words can be, two people can speak Portuguese but using different vocabularies, but all of them understand each other. Okay, there is a mutual intelligibility, right? So then when two people speak one language or two different varieties of a language, which is Brazilian English and Brazilian Portuguese and Angolan Portuguese, they will speak these two varieties of the Portuguese language, but both will understand each other. So then when it happens, we are between Brazilian, for instance, or we are between two varieties of the language, which is dialects. They are dialects, of course. And Angolan Portuguese is a dialect, of course. It's also a dialect. For example, if you come to talk, or to speak with someone, with a Brazilian one, so there will be two variations of the language: Brazilian Portuguese and Angolan Portuguese. So both are dialects, because we're going to use different expressions, but there will be a mutual intelligibility. right? So this is actually what I would just say. Yeah, Angolan Portuguese can be considered as a dialect.
A dialect
Yes.
of Portuguese.
Of Portuguese, of course.
Okay. Because dialect is into a language.
A language,
Like
of course.
Kikongo is a language. But the Kikongo spoken in Kimbele is a dialect of Kikongo.
Sure.
And also the Kikongo, the variety spoken in Zeto, Kikongo spoken in Zeto is a different variety or a dialect of Kikongo.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, a question coming from Fernando. This is Fernando Pasasi. What's method right to improve? Okay, what's the right method to improve pronunciation?
Okay.
What's the right method to improve pronunciation and listening?
That's right.
Fernando's question.
All right. So let me start from the first one. I mean, from the last one, which is listening, right? I think, the best way.
Would you go
actually
along
to-
with this comment? Dialect has to do with different way of speaking a language.
So this is from Nzaj, right?
No,
Candy.
Nardo
Fernando?
Manuel. No,
Fernando?
Gabriel Wiseman.
So then, you want me to go through this?
No, do you agree? Would you go along with him, or we can?
So
you can
different
answer that
ways
question.
of.
Last one. Is it last one? Is it last one or last one? Pedro Roma viewing us from the US.
Okay.
Well, can you comment? Last one. I'm stressing the first syllable. Last one. I'm stressing the second syllable. Which one? The first or the second? Now, could you tell us how different your English is from ours? Because someone said that the English which is spoken in the US is different from ours. It's totally different. Yeah, so could you tell us, are you having problems to understand us?
No,
the second pronunciation, Las Juan. Okay, Las Juan Pedro Roma is Angolan and he is currently viewing us from the US. When I say the owner of the languages, Neto said, no, they are not the owner of the language.
All right.
Yes, yeah. Could you?
The question was about how to improve, right?
Yes.
Listening.
What's the best
way
what's
to-
the right, not best, but what's the right method to improve pronunciation and listening?
Okay, let me start from the last one, which is listening.
Okay.
I think the right way to improve listening is by listening.
Okay.
Of course. Because this is, the best way to train ourselves in order to be able to understand what someone says. Because if you want to improve your listening, you have to listen constantly. You have to listen to different ways of, different varieties of English language. For instance, I like the correct way that I use, or the correct methodology or techniques, that I use in order to improve my listening, just by listening. Every morning, I always have, those, videos, or some songs, or even podcasts in English, right? And this is what I do in order to improve my listening skills.
Okay.
Yes. So the right way to improve, the listening skills or our listening is by listening. There's no another way. I can say like this. There's no another way. So we can result in order to improve our listening, but by listening. This is the only way I can tell you. Okay. Then going straight to the next one. The correct way, to improve pronunciation. Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
The right way.
The right way.
right method.
Okay, the right method. So there are many methods we can adopt in order to improve our pronunciation. For example, one that I used when I was attending university was imitation. Yes, I used to imitate the professors. For example, Professor Neto was one of them. Yes, and on imitating Professor Matet helped me in order to improve my pronunciation. Because when you imitate the way someone speaks English, you are bound to have the same, you're going to resemble almost the same way that person speaks or pronounce the words. Yes, and this is one of the things that I did in order to improve my pronunciation. So imitation is good. If you want to sound like an American, for instance, you have to listen to American speakers and also try to imitate the way they speak, the way they stress words, the way they pronounce the words. So when you do this practice, when you do it constantly, you're going to sound more or less like them. It's just like this. So imitation is one of the principal items or principal methods you can apply or adopt in order to improve your English, your pronunciation. But there are also others like reading as well. Reading, there are levels of reading. For example, one of the, the kind of reading that I used to adopt in order to improve my pronunciation was reading in loud voice. Yes, reading in loud voice helped me a lot in improving my pronunciation. Yes, reading is one of them, but reading in loud voice. And the other one, of course, is by studying. Studying pronunciation. By studying pronunciation, so you're going to have more, you're going to understand more how to pronounce the words correctly. So then, if you do these three things that I told you, the first one is imitation. So you mimic what other people, the way, other people speak. If you see, if you have some role model or someone who is your role model, then so you want to speak like him, all you have to do is to try to speak like him by imitating him. Okay, by imitating. So this is the first one. And the second one is reading in loud voice. And the third one, studying pronunciation.
Okay.
Yes, so you need to have a mentor, okay, in order to guide you or to teach you how to pronounce words. So having pronunciation classes would be a plus for you to improve your pronunciation.
Good.
Yeah.
There are lots of people. Let's say there are lots of people who've been helping others improve their pronunciation. In Rwanda, you can find people like me. No, I no longer do that. You can find people. You can look for the English community, not living community. I think English living community, which is Uncle Ben's community.
Okay.
You can also look for who else? Who else has been? Have you been working on? Have you been helping people improve their pronunciation?
Well, I have, but very little.
Oh, okay.
Very
Chris Ferreira, have you been helping people improve their pronunciation? Are you one of them? In which there are people like, I think, who? Humblebee. I think Humblebee has been living English community. Yes, Nardo Manuel's comment. Yes, he said it's living English community. Yes. In which Humblebee, I think, has been helping people improve their pronunciation. Yes, Lasquan says most of the times mispronunciation has something to do with being bilingual. For example, you guys over there are speaking English under the influence of Portuguese, like it or not. You all have Portuguese stuck in your head, which is true. And whenever you all speak English, you automatically, what happens?
When we
incorporate what? Portuguese into your English. Yes, that's what happens. We automatically do what? Use the Portuguese influence. So, and that's true, like it or not, it's true. Yes, that's what happens. No matter what your level of English is, when you speak English, you will automatically feel like, the listener will automatically feel the influence of a second language. Yes, and it's really true. Some have worked hard and they have overcome this the Portuguese influence. And the only thing which you can tell that there's a second language maybe is the accent. But when it comes to pronunciation, you really feel like the person, because pronunciation, two things that I can mention here which are about pronunciation: word stress and word stress and sentence stress. Because when we speak, our voice goes up and down.
Sure.
And when you work on your pronunciation, like working on word stress and also sentence stress, you will know that I don't have to say where have you been? I can't say this. Where have you been? But I will say, where have you been? Where have you? Where have you been? So
Sure.
been will go up, and I will say, where have you been? Instead of where have you been? And what have you been? No, okay. If I am reading, I will say, what have you been? What have you been doing to improve your English? What have you been doing to improve your English? I am reading. But if I speak, I will not say what have you been, but I will say, what have you been? What have you been? What have you been? What have you been? I will not stress been. What have you been? What have you been? What have you? What have you? What have you been? What have you been doing? Why am I going to stress? The first one is, what have you been? Or what have you? What have you been? Yes. What have you been doing? What have you been doing? What have you been doing to improve your pronunciation? So I will not say, what have you? What have you been doing? What have you been? I cannot stress have, you, or even been, because the word that is carrying stress are have and doing. So it will be, what have you been doing to improve your pronunciation? So this is sentence stress. And word stress is, you said the first word, a word that you gave as example.
For example, so we can
probable.
Yeah,
probably. For example, probably. Instead of saying probably, I'm saying probably. Yes.
Sure.
So this is word stress, and
you can also get here another example, like the word garden.
Yes.
Garden. So it's stressed on the first syllable. Garden. So the last syllable, which is the second one, is actually stressless, or is unstressed.
Yes.
It's unstressed.
So you cannot say garden.
No, we have to say garden.
Yeah.
So we have to stress the first syllable.
Okay.
Yes. That's what we call word stress.
Good.
Yeah.
So some of us have overcome this problem. Yeah, things that are everything that is related to word stress and sentence stress. But a native speaker, or even a native speaker, or a professor of phonetics and phonology can still feel that there's a second language, or there's any interference. All right, Linguista Antonio Fly, viewing us from Malange. Hello, Dapher and Francisco. I'm on the other side. Yes, we can see that you are on the other side, and I'm appreciating it. Linguist Antonio Fly, who has got a degree in English language teaching methodology from Escola Superior, yes? Kwanzaa North Pedagogical Higher School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Good. Can we have? So, do you go along with this comment? Where most of the times mispronunciation has something to do with being bilingual. So we, as no native speakers, let me just tell you that Las Juan is an Angolan who lives in the U.S., was born and raised in Angola, but right now he's been living in the U.S.
Okay.
and he is viewing us right from the U.S. Daniel, are there any questions or comments?
Yes, there are. There are actually two questions. The first one is from Nardel Manuel, who asks the following.
Raul Kasua. Kasua, yes?
Kasua.
Luamba Cristóbal. He says, how to become an avid reader? This is his question.
Okay.
How to become an avid reader?
All right. Or how to become a good reader.
Okay.
I select this. Right. So, as I said, okay, when was trying to provide, okay, the answer, or well, when I was trying to talk about the listening, okay, the correct methods to, to be a good listener or to train or to improve our listening. So actually, it's almost the same, right? It's almost the same. How can we become, okay, a good reader? Reading, yes, because someone who, for example, who reads a lot, or someone who listens, okay, a lot and reads a lot. So this one is, likely going to be, for example, a good speaker. Because when you speak, when you listen a lot and then you read a lot, you're going to shape your pronunciation, and you're going to know how, of course, your speech will actually, change or be shaped. But then to be a good, reader, all you have to do is to read a lot. So you listen, okay, to how other people pronounce, okay, or read certain thing, and then you try to copy it, and then try to read and read. So that's the best way, or the correct method for you to improve your reading. Yeah.
Raul Gasur says, Francis Acapita Roche, nice to see you on the show. When you speak English, think in English. Don't think in Portuguese. Could you elaborate on this statement?
Okay, so I think in the beginning it's a little bit impossible for you to speak English without thinking or resorting to your Portuguese, because we are Portuguese speakers, right? And then as Portuguese speakers, when you're learning the second language, we are going to have the influence of the first language in our second language. So then the second language is going to be produced around our first language. So first we will have to elaborate or to think in what to say, how we say in our Portuguese, and then we transfer that to, into English language. So then this is what happens. But actually, it's not that easy, right? It's a matter of time, okay? It's a process. But it's not that easy. When we speak Portuguese, when we speak English, there will always be something regarding to Portuguese in there. But then, as time goes by, so people are going to get accustomed or used to speaking English without thinking too much in Portuguese. Then it's like this.
Is it possible to get rid of Portuguese structure while speaking English, or reducing it?
No, it's possible to reduce it. But to eradicate it from the root,
it's impossible.
No, it's impossible actually. So because we were born with Portuguese, Portuguese comes with us since the birth. And then for you to eradicate it, so it is going to be a little bit impossible. Because, a language that comes from the birth till the age we are. So come on, just because of second language, you are going to forget this language, so it's going to be a little bit impossible, but we can reduce it. Okay, the influence of first language in our second language can be reduced, but eradicate or to take it, it's not going to be possible.
In terms of structure, is it possible?
Well, in terms of structure, we know that the structure, the English structure or English syntax, okay, with the Portuguese syntax, they are not they are not the same, but they have similarities, because we know that language shares similarities, right? Sometimes we're going to need our Portuguese in order to structure certain sentence we want to say in English. We're going to need our Portuguese. But one thing we have to understand is that not always we're going to need our Portuguese to speak certain things in English, because if we try to do it every time, we may go through a lot of mistakes, okay, while speaking English. right? So there are rules or there are sentence structures in English that when you apply to Portuguese or sentence structures from Portuguese, when you apply, okay, in English language, you fail. So that's like this. So sometimes we can, okay? Sometimes, you know, the Portuguese structure can go into English structure, but not very often, right? Sometimes, yeah.
Nardo Manuel's asked us how to create an environment, an English environment at home. This first question. And the second one is from him. So is there a chance to have an amazing pronunciation through internet?
Through internet? Well, let's go, you know, let's start from the last one, right? If it's possible to improve pronunciation through internet.
An amazing.
Okay, to have an amazing pronunciation through internet. Well, internet is a source, and it can help. Okay, it can help to a certain extent. It can help you to pronounce certain things, because on internet you can find teachers, okay, who teach certain things regarding to pronunciation, right? But I don't think this is, you know, enough for us to, well, to have, okay, a good pronunciation, because all we have to do is to collect multiple of sources or you know, resources, so we can, you know, have a solid understanding of pronunciation. We can go to internet and get something, and then the other thing, we can also try to apply other, you know, methods we have already said here, okay, in order to, you know, to help you better understand or better pronounce your English. It's like this. And then going straight to the first one, right? How to create a community, an English community, right, at home.
English environment.
An English environment at home.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the creation of an English environment starts from us. Starts from us. If we want to create an English environment, we are the people to start, okay, this environment. If I speak English, I can create my own environment. Like, if there's no one for me to take or for me to practice English, then I can listen into music. I can sing music. Okay, I can call friends who speak English in order to practice with me. So then, that's the only way for you to build, okay, an English environment. Calling friends to practice with you at home, or, you know, you start organizing, start setting up time for you to listen to music, to sing music, and so on and so forth. So that's the only way to, yeah.
Vicente Kiala, on your website, great to listen to you. I hope you are all doing better.
Okay.
Esmeralda, Professor de Inglés, says, always on. And Teacher Dapher, you are doing a good job. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Nardo Manuel, thanks for your answer. He says, well said, teacher. Thank you for these tips. You are truly amazing. Keep your good work.
Okay, thank you, my dear.
Silvano Moma, non-family.
Family.
Big holla to Francisco Acapita Roche, mate of us from
One. Okay, Agostinho University.
Okay.
All right.
Romeo Balanza Dalu says, it's actually a question that I think you have already answered it, but I'm going to read it again.
Okay.
Why we need to improve our pronunciation, and what is the difference accent
between accent and pronunciation?
Versus pronunciation.
Okay. So we have already answered it, but let's start from that one. So he put forward the two questions, right? Can you please read the first one? Excuse me again.
The first one is why we need to improve our pronunciation.
That's great. So as I said earlier, we needed to improve our pronunciation in order to communicate well, right? So, because there's not good communication without good pronunciation of words, right? When we talk about pronunciation, people should understand that this is a very important item in communication. There's no communication when there's not correct pronunciation of words. I gave here some example, of the mispronunciation, or about the mispronunciation of the word because, or because. If someone says because instead of because, how can we understand, what the person wanted to say when the pronunciation is not clear? So then, pronunciation is this important tool we use in order to communicate effectively or to communicate clearly. So it's important to study pronunciation in order to communicate our thoughts clearly and avoid the misunderstanding within the communication or throughout the communication. So that's it. Yeah, and the last one, we have just provided the answer. Difference between accent and pronunciation. As I said earlier, the difference simply lies in the fact that accent is the way, we speak a language. The way we speak Portuguese, the way we speak English, right? We all have different ways of speaking a language. And then these differences of speaking English is what we call accent, right? And the pronunciation is the way words are made to sound, the way we pronounce words. So this is the difference between these two items. Yeah.
Okay. And Mendes Solomon says.
Mendes.
Do you know him?
Yes, he was my mate, my
As an
classmate.
English teacher,
My
and
classmate.
according to your view, I repeat, as an English teacher and according to your view, what percentage of influence does a teacher have on their student in the English language learning process? For instance, some people normally assert that in the process of learning English language, 90% depends on the student. That is, on the student's efforts and willpower. On the other hand, only 10% depends on the teacher's influence. What is your view about this?
Okay, I actually can't see. Okay, this is the way. Okay, what's my view about this?
Yeah, the percentage.
Okay, I actually
Teacher's
didn't follow.
influence.
Okay, the teacher's influence.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
on their students
learning.
in the English language learning process.
90% depending on the student and 10% depending on the teacher.
Okay.
What's your view on this rate?
Well, actually, I would say that in a classroom, right, both teacher and students, needed to play a part in order to promote the learning, right, in order to promote the learning in a classroom. Students, play 20% or even 15% or 20% or 30% or 40%. It's okay, no problem. But then the rest of it is in teacher's responsibility, right? Of course, the teacher plays a great influence, in students' learning. When the teacher uses makes use of the right techniques or methodologies when teaching the English language, so students will learn easily. But when the methodologies are not appropriate, teacher does not make the correct use of those techniques, of course, students may not understand or may not learn things. So then, of course, that we teachers have at least 90 or 80% of the influence, okay, in order to help our students learn the language, right? Yeah, it's okay. So then I don't know if I got it right, if the one is satisfied, you know, I don't actually know, but this is like this. This is like this. Yeah.
What did Mr. Candido say? Mr. Candido said that yes.
He reinforced. He reinforced saying that 80%, depending on the student,
and 20%
student dependence, and 10%
teacher.
teachers dependence.
10%.
20. No, I'm saying that, no. What Mentor said.
Okay.
What Mentor said.
This is not
said was
He said
90%.
90%.
Students. 10% teacher, but Mr. Candido reinforced by saying
Sure.
that 80% teacher.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
80% student and 20% student.
Okay.
Teacher, yes.
Aleshan TJ says, I once read that linguists do not speak many languages, but they can easily speak many languages. Is it really? If so, how is that?
So we have to understand that to be a linguist, you don't necessarily need to speak many languages, because speaking many languages is for multilingual or
Polyglot, yes?
Yeah, polyglot, right? So I mean a linguist can even speak one language or two languages, right? For example, there are people graduating in Portuguese language, for example, Portuguese language and literature. So they speak only Portuguese, and they are linguists in that field. So then, to be a linguist, you don't need to speak many languages. Even if you speak just one or two languages, you are you can, as long as you are graduated in one of these fields or one of these languages, Portuguese or English, okay, English and literature. Of course, you are a linguist. You don't need to speak many languages, right? No need.
Mr. Candido suggests that you don't read the comments so that you don't lose focus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his suggestion, because if you read the comments.
What's the comment? Let's see. Okay.
Hey, Mr. Paulo Bonifacio. Our kitchen, yes, we are made. For those who've got wives, yes, don't what? Have sex only in your bedroom. You can also have it in the kitchen. Yes, Mr. Paulo Bonifacio, our last edition's guest, who was here, who spoke about hip hop, rap, world music. Yes, world music too. So thank you so much, Mr. Bonifacio, for being on the other side.
One thing I would like to say, that Mendes, Salman, I actually got wrong. I confused this one with a mate of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
okay.
one is not this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
no
it's
problem.
different.
Okay. Aleshan TJ reinforced saying the following. Did you really understand my question? It is him. Did you really understand his question?
I once read that
linguists do not speak many languages, but they can easily speak many languages. Is it really? If so, how is that?
Well,
would it be they can easily understand many languages?
Sure, understand, but not speak. Because understand, yes, because a linguist studies the language,
because
right?
I can study the structure.
The structure of the language.
The structure of Kimbundo, even not speaking it.
Yes, not speaking it.
And I can tell you how you form the past simple.
Sure.
And I can tell you that this is a regular verb and this is irregular.
Yeah.
Even not speaking this language.
Sure.
Well, yes, can you read that?
We learned it in linguistic.
Bantu linguistics.
And even in I think in Introduction to General Linguistics.
Sure. Sure.
If you want to be a linguist can understand a language even not speaking it.
Of course, that's
Because
it. Mm-hmm.
like we are here in Luanda. We can say, okay, not Geraldo. Daniel is an English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Francisco studied English language literature. I was also studying English language literature. The three of us will go to Wambo. We don't. Do you speak in Umbundo?
No, a little bit.
I speak in Congo. So does Daniel. So we go to maybe to Kwanza so as to study Ngoya.
Okay.
We don't speak it, but we will interview through Portuguese. We will interview at least 4 people and ask them, like they will be speaking the language, and we will be taking notes.
Sure.
And then, okay, as they start speaking, while they are speaking, we'll be taking notes and see, well, for example, in the Congo, dia, monundidi, didi kala. Have you eaten yet? Didi kala. So we have didi kala. Have you eaten yet? Kikudiako. I haven't. I won't eat. Kikudiako. And so a linguist will study, well, kikudiako, kikuendako, kivovako, kivovaku, yeah, kikudiaku, kikuvo. So this is linguist business. Kikudiaku, kikuendaku, kikuvovaku. So a linguist is there listening to me, how I am speaking. So he will at the end of the day, yeah, he will analyze, or he will say that, okay, so this gentleman said kikudiaku, kikuendaku. He did like this, kikudiaku, kikuendaku. So this means that ku, ku is ku. That's the negative, and it is being placed at the end. When I have finished my survey, the report will be like, in Kikongo, negative, in English, don't with regular and irregular verbs, don't is placed between the subject and the main verb.
Yes.
And with auxiliary verbs or modal verbs, not goes after the modal verbs. I will not go after the main verb. Let's say not is placed between the modal verb and the infinitive. But in Kikongo, negative goes at the end of the sentence. So kikuendaku, kikudiaku, kanzolelaku. So this is Francisco's business. Yes.
Actually,
Linguist business.
Of course.
Not teachers. Now, Daniel, why do we need to have Daniel there as an English teacher?
Okay.
Daniel, as an English teacher, will tell us how to teach. A linguist will study the phenomenon of this language. Now, the teacher will teach us how to teach it, how to teach the negative, how to teach this language. Okay, are there? Yes, I don't know. Sorry for over speaking. That's not my business of speaking.
A teacher is still insisting on the same question that I have to read it better.
Yes. Delcio, sorry, Delcio said, yeah. Actually, it's not actually, I haven't been commenting a lot, or I haven't been answering questions. Yeah. Delcio said, my suggestion, the host should not answer questions. The job is to ask questions. Yes, this is my job. Yeah, actually, I haven't been answering questions unless I just want to reinforce. Sorry, Delcio, because they are here to hear you, not me.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alexandre TJ is still insisting on the same questions, that I have to read it slowly and. So that you can get well the question. And I repeat it. I once read that linguists
he got it.
do not speak main language.
He got it.
Got it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said I just
Good.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have a question from
Bengi.
I Negão.
Oh, okay.
Negão, right? He says, do I have to think in English to be a good speaker?
Well, not necessary. Not necessary, because we can be a good English speaker speaking English, thinking in Portuguese as well. And we all speak English thinking in Portuguese. It's just a matter of time, because there's no way, for us to be a good English speaker, without thinking in our own language or in our first language, because the first language is the guide, right? It guides us towards the second language, right? And then every language we learn after first language will always depend on, our first language. And then it's not necessary to stop thinking in Portuguese in order to speak English fluently or to speak English very well. So that's a process, right? It's a process. The more we speak, the less we think in Portuguese. It is going to be like this. So as time goes by, it's going to be automatic. It's going to be automatic. So you will simply flow, and will not have much time to think in Portuguese. But it's always important to stress here that, whenever we speak Portuguese, we will always resort to our Portuguese, which is our first language. Yes.
Okay, Bengi, have you found Bengi's question?
I think it's not question.
Yes, there's a question.
There is a question from him.
I supposed to be a simple conversation.
Okay.
It seems like he is being interviewed. Easy bro, okay, he's talking to me. Dapher, it's supposed to be a simple conversation. It seems like he's being interviewed. Easy bro, I just want him to tell us what motivated him to study English. I appreciate your Kikongo, by the way. Thank you, Bengi. Yes, what motivated you to study English? Bengi, to study or to learn English? Yeah, I think let's go to study. Study, I think that's university. What motivated you to study English?
Well, first I would like to say that one of the main motivations, which motivated me to, one of the intentions which motivated me to study English was actually, the importance of the language.
Okay.
First, yes, the importance of the language. And so because I wanted to try something new. I am a Portuguese native speaker, then I decided to try something new. And then this one was English language. So that's why I decided to go to Agostinho University so as to study English, right? And to see this language in a different, with a different eyes. Yes, because I knew that studying English would certainly be a plus for me. It would probably help me to achieve certain goals, or certain levels in my life or in social life. So, but then it's like this. I just decided to study English, right, because I wanted to try something new, and English was the one, the language that most caught my attention. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. How much has your English improved after you have joined arts, now humanities?
Well, actually, I have to say that I learned a lot when I when I got to university, because there were many things that I didn't know, when I was out of university.
Okay.
So, for example, things we got into phonetics and phonology, linguistics, and many other things. When I was out of university, I couldn't understand all these things. I look at English as something like, as any other language, right? But when I went to university, I started looking at English with very different eyes. So then, going to university helped me a lot in understanding the importance of English. I started to understand that the language is more than speaking it, it is communication.
Okay.
right? More than speaking language, you have to use it in order to communicate. Out of university, I didn't have this idea. So we had time that we would go to centers or to training centers in order to practice English, but that was mainly devoted to challenge.
Okay.
Okay, we went there to challenge, okay, to compete, to see, who can speak better than other.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then when I went to university, this mindset was out. Vanished,
okay.
right? Because there I learned the real, essence of language. Okay, how to use, how to see language. What is language actually? What's the main purpose of language? All this I learned at university. So then, at university, my English grew, gradually, because it's there where I learned all these things. Now I understand that language is no longer, is no longer a matter of challenge, but it's a matter of communication. So only only at university I was able to understand this, but out of university I didn't have this mindset. So then my English grew a lot at university. Yeah. That's it.
Luamba Gustavo, studying at the Faculty of Humanities is not a piece of cake. Trust me, because there are many teachers who are always playing games with students. So my question is, as a former student of Faculty of Humanities, what are the obstacles did you face there?
So we know that life, so we can never wait, okay, ease from life all the time, right? But I would say that I didn't face a lot of challenges or difficulties while attending my university or while attending the Faculty of Humanities, because I would do things, okay, accordingly. When actually you do things accordingly, there will not be, storms which will stop you from achieving your goals. Because I went there, always I went to university, I just went according to the rules, okay, according to the professor's desire. Whenever they asked us to do something, I would do that accordingly. Then when you do it, there will be no storms. But we had, of course, a professor who used to play, whose subject, he thought his subject was something like mathematics. Okay, and he wanted us to go to retake. Yes, but then we understood his intention, early, and we decided to work hard. Okay, we studied very hard, and then we all passed his subject. And so, everyone faces difficulties when you're trying to achieve certain goal. And we can never wait, as I said earlier, we can never wait ease from life all the time. If you do things well, you will not have all those storms. Professors who try to complicate students' life will always be there. But we have to always keep positive in order to excel all the obstacles. So then, if this is my advice for him. If you really want to go to Faculty of Humanities, just go. Don't just look at the difficulties, okay, other people face, because we all have different experiences. So if one faced difficulties, probably you may not face difficulties. Or if they face difficulties, probably it's in a different field, not in terms of dealing with the professors. Probably because he didn't have he faced difficulties regarding to money. For example, I myself had these difficulties in terms of money. My difficulties was not regarding to dealing with the professors or something like problems with scores. I never had problems with scores. I never had problems with any professor. I never had any issue with any professor. My main problem was regarding to money for taxi. Yeah, so this was the challenge. So probably this one may have a difficulty which has nothing to do with money or with the professor. So it's like this. Everybody has different experiences. Yeah, just go and study there. So it's gonna be good for you. Yeah.
In your opinion, why are students of English and all teachers are always or most of the time competing as to whom speaks English better, or trying to give the impression that he or she is far better or superior to others? How can we teachers fix it? In your point of view, this is
Okay.
Mr.
Mr.
Candidate.
Candidate's question.
That's great. So this is the problem we've been living. Okay, we've been living lately. Many teachers, unfortunately, many teachers still have this poor mindset. Okay, because I don't know why teachers still think this way. Because we should look at language in a different way. No, in a language, nobody is superior than another. Nobody is better than another. Because we use language to just communicate, right? In communication, there is not competition. And then we teachers should come with a different mindset, okay, of what language is and how to use language. So time for competition has gone. It's gone long ago. Then we have to stop this. No sense to challenge, no sense in challenging with other teacher, no sense to try to know who speak better than other, because the language is all about communication and no challenge, right? We have to change this mindset. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
One of the language characteristics is that it is spontaneous. How can it be viewed in language learning process? Alexander teacher. Question.
One of the characteristics of
one of the characteristics that one of the language characteristics is that it is spontaneous. How can it be viewed in language learning process?
It's spontaneous.
Language is spontaneous. In terms of language characteristics, it is one of them spontaneously. Okay.
And
how can it be viewed in language learning process? Take into account that language is spontaneous. It is a spontaneous phenomenon.
Okay.
And how it influence on learning process.
So, language is spontaneous.
Yeah.
And well, actually, you know, I would give more thought to this question, so as not to answer it, improperly, right? I would give more thought to this question. Yeah.
Okay, and he still have a question saying the following. I still with Mr. Alexander teacher. As a linguist you are, should the Ebonics, Black American English in bracket, be considered a variety with a negative connotation? Knowing that it's not allowed to be used in the classrooms, especially in the United States of America. How do you analyze that as a linguist?
All right. So, so we have to know that all varieties of English language is good. No variety of English language is bad. So we in class, he says something that, especially in the United States of America, can't be used, okay, because they take as a negative, okay, or a negative variety of English language. So actually, I do not, as a linguist, I look at this with a different eyes, right? Because when we talk about varieties of English, people are free to speak or to express themselves the way they feel like, right? And Ebonic is one of the ways, okay, Black American people express themselves there, right? Now, as students, of course, we have to see the place where we can use Ebonic. We have to see the place where we can use, Black American variety, for example. In a classroom, of course, you can't. So let's use the standard English. Okay, let's use the standard English for better comprehension. But it's not bad to use Ebonic English or non-standard variety of English language. It's okay, but we have to measure the place where we have to use it, right? Yeah.
Okay, it's time we say goodbye, Daniel. It's 13 past the hour.
I would like also to hear from
You
you.
didn't ask questions today.
Yeah, I did, and I'm just reading questions today. I
Okay.
would like to hear from you, answering the question from Mr. Luemba, which says, how much did you get from Things Fall Apart's book from China Chen?
So this was second year, I think. Second year, yeah, when we
African literature.
Yeah, African literature.
African
with
literature.
Professor
Fernanda.
Fernanda, right? So that's a very good story. That's a very good story. I think if I still can recall, it was about Okonko, right? The story was written by Ashinwa Shape. Yeah. So all I can say is that story teaches us how the African people, African people were destroyed or started to separate. To fall apart, because it started with the presence or with the arrival of Portuguese people. When the Portuguese people came and installed settled the land and installed the churches, so they started to preach the God's word to some Africans, and from that time on, some of African people in that land started to go to Christianity. They started to believe, in God and do the worship or the services, doing the service, and they had no more time to deal or to be with their brothers. They just clustered with white people, with the Portuguese people, and they didn't have, all the intention or that willing, to be with their brothers or black brothers, stopped or finished there. And then they started to fall apart, to getting separated, right? In the beginning, they were all together, they were all united, but when the Portuguese people or the white people arrived there, they started to get separated, or to separate themselves. So that's why, the book was called Things Fall Apart, right? Yeah, I think that's it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francisco Cachivalela. What's the meaning of your name?
Well, actually,
You don't know?
No, I do. I know the meaning of the name, but I don't like it very much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it has to do with something which has no value.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's valueless, right?
Which is not true.
Cachivalela, of course.
Which is not true.
It's not true.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
not true. I'm saying that's not true. Because you said that the meaning, it has a it means something which is
negative
which doesn't
impact.
have which doesn't have any value, and they say that that's not true, or which is not true, because you have value.
No, of course.
And you've shown it. Okay, so thank you so much, Francisco, for having accepted my invitation to come
Always
and
at
answer
disposal.
my and our viewers' questions
Okay.
on different topics. What are your last words before we say goodbye?
Just would like to say that it was a pleasure to be here, to share something. Yeah, and so that's the first time I've been here, and I've been interviewed by Mr. Dapher, right? And it's an honor to be here and being interviewed by Mr. Dapher. So I hope to be here more often, more time. And so that's it. Thank you very much for your questions, for putting forward your concerns, and I hope you guys are all satisfied. If you aren't, so please chat me on Facebook so we can interact for more details on certain questions that I was not able to respond. Thank you.
Okay. I saw people like Manuel Afonso. Manuel Afonso is my eternal boss.
Okay.
He was my boss, and he will always be my boss. I sometimes say that he is my forever boss. So boss, it was nice to see you on the other side. Okay, this was one more edition of Answer My Questions with me, Dapher, David Fernando. And my guest for today's edition was Francisco Cachivalela, who is an English teacher. and also a translator. I wanted to ask you a question on teaching English in private school, but I ended up not asking that. So for those, as I said, thank you for having accepted my invitation.
Okay.
And for those who have spent, yes, who have saved the data so as to view this edition, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. And my guest, as usual, is, not my guest, my technician is Daniel Salomao, o poeta, yes? Yes, Daniel is the poet, and thank you so much, Daniel, for everything which you've been doing so as to answer my questions on. Right, Daniel?
Yes.
Daniel, thank you so much, and I hope you have a very productive week. And I also wish you a very productive week. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Okay.